Generate numerical patterns. The student will generate a numerical pattern when given a rule in the form y is equal to a times x or y is equal to x plus a and graph. It used to look like this in 4th grade. The student used input-output tables and numerical expressions to generate a number pattern. In 5th grade now it looks like this. Students will generate a numerical pattern when given a rule and will graph it. So when students are giving a rule, they're going to use that information to fill in the information in the input-output table. Then they're going to use the information from the input-output table here to graph it onto the graph. In the future, it will look like this. Students will represent verbal descriptions, tables, graphs, and equations in the form y is equal to k times x or y is equal to x plus b. Non-negotiable strategies. Think process time. And you give students 30 seconds to answer a question. Structured talk time gives students 1 to 2 minutes to discuss the problem and solve it together. Think out loud. So go over an example with the students modeling your thought processes out loud to solve the problem. Randomization, you can use various strategies such as popsicle sticks, stickers on desks, student characteristics, class dojo, whatever randomization tools you have, use them. And then practice time. Give students an opportunity to practice problems after you have done some together as a class. These are strategies that you will be required to be implementing in your lessons. Now, you're not going to be required to have all these in a lesson, but you are going to be responsible for having some of these in there. Here's our first think out loud. And our rule here is y is equal to 8 plus x. So when we first begin and we start talking to the students about the input-output table and the rules, we're going to have them look at x and y. We're having them use x and y, looking at both of these to see they relate to one another. In this situation here, we're having that the outcome that y is a result of x plus 8. So what we can do here, our x here is 2, so we're going to go, okay, 2 plus 8. Does that give me 10? That works here. 3 plus 8. That gives me 11. 4 plus 8. That gives me 12. 5 plus 8. So in order to fill in the rest of the input-output table, we're going to use the same strategy. And 5 plus 8 it gives us 13. 6 plus 8, that gives us 14. 7 plus 8, that gives us 15. Now when looking at this input-output table and looking at the rule, is this going to be additive or multiplicative? Additive being, are we adding? Or multiplicative being, are we multiplying? In this case, when we go look at our input-output table, you notice that we are adding. So then this is going to be additive. Here's another think out loud. And with this one, we're going to have to come up with our rule. And we do that by looking at the chart. But before we even look at the chart, I'm going to require that you guys set up an input-output table. Okay? We're going to use the points on the graph. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 points on the graph to fill in our input-output table. This first section is going to be, this first column is going to be x. The next column is going to be y. When working with this is just like graphing. So we're walking to 1, and we're going up to 10. So for x, this first dot is going to be 1, and then my y is going to be 10. We go to the next one. We're walking to 2, and then we're going up to 20. So our next point is going to be 2 and 20. Our next point, we're walking to 3, and we're going up to 30. So we have 3 and we have 30. And our last point, we're going to walk to 4, and we're going all the way up to 40. So now that we have our points on there, our coordinates, we've got to figure out what's the relationship between x and y. So we need to find out how we got y. So we start out with x. So I can start out, well, we can say, well, maybe they added, so let's try addition. 1 plus 9. 1 plus 9 gives me 10, right? What if I go 2 plus 9? Will that give me 20? No, 2 plus 9 doesn't give me 20. So then I know they didn't add. So the only other way that I could go to a 10 is if we multiplied. So let's see. 1 times, because we'd have to multiply by 10. Does that give me 10? It sure does. 2 times 10. Does that give me 20? It does. 3 times 10. Does that give me 30? It gives me 30. And then 4 times 10. Does that give me 40? It gives me 40. So then our rule is going to be that we multiplied these numbers here are under x. So we multiplied x times 10, right? So we would write that as y is equal to 10x. And for those of you that don't know, when we have a number next to a variable, that tells us we are multiplying. So that tells us we multiplied 10 times x to give us y. Now I'm going to let you practice now with a partner. I'm going to give you guys a couple of minutes to go over, to look over the input-output table here. The rule for this one is b is equal to 4a. Now, can anyone tell me what it means when we have a number next to a variable? We just finished discussing that. What does that mean? You're sitting at desk number 5. Nancy? Nancy, what does that mean when we have a number next to a variable? Multiplication? Does everyone agree? If you agree, give me a thumbs up. If you disagree, thumbs down. If you're unsure, just meet me halfway. Everyone agrees? Correct. That means 4 times a. So then we know that we're going to be multiplying all these numbers that are underneath a. We're going to be multiplying them by what? By 4? Yes, we're going to be multiplying all these by 4. So I'm going to give you guys a couple of minutes, because if we look right here, 1 times 4, does that give me 4? It does give me 4. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys a couple of minutes to work with your partner, give you some time to talk, and work the last 3 numbers out and find out what b is. Okay, ready? Begin. Whenever you're done, give me a thumbs up so that way I know we can continue. All right, looks like most of you are done. So let's just go ahead and begin here. If you're sitting at a desk that has a basketball sticker on it, please stand up. Oscar, what do we get for B when we have 5 as A? What are we going to get? 20? Does anyone have something different from Oscar's? No, we're all good? Okay, good. It's 20. Next one, we have 6. We have A. Melanie, will you come up here and tell us what you got for B, please? Come on up here. Okay, you got 24. Does everyone agree? If you agree, again, thumbs up. Disagree, thumbs down. Joe, Joe, you said you have something different? What did you get? You got what? 26? Did you find out what your mistake was? Oh, you multiplied wrong. Okay, well, you need to be very careful with that. Make sure you and your partner are talking this out and making sure that you have your correct solutions. Okay? And then the last one, we have 7. And for 7, if you are wearing black sneakers, please stand up. Black sneakers. Okay, Edgar, going to come up here and give us the answer for 7. 28, very good. Now, class, is this additive or multiplicative? We've got to look at the rule. Did we add or multiply? We multiplied, very good. So it is multiplicative. Very good. Now let's continue. Now I'm going to give you guys a little bit more time here. I'm going to give you some practice here. Now what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to challenge you here. This time I'm providing the tables for you. If you look, you have the input-output tables here in front of you. You have 4 different tables. I'm going to assign each group a table. Okay? Group 1, you're getting this first table. Group 2, this one. Group 3, and Group 4. I'm going to give you guys a couple of minutes to figure out which of the rules up in the box here, up in this box up here, matches your input-output table. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to work on that. Be ready to talk about this when the time's up. Go ahead and begin, please. All right, looks like most of you are done, so let's go ahead and begin here. All right, group one. What rule did you guys come up with for your input-output table? So you saying it's to be, C to be. Does everyone agree? If you agree, hands on top of your head. Everyone agrees? Okay, good. It's 2 times B. Very good. Next one, group 2. Group 2, you're saying B plus 4. Does everyone agree? All right, let's move on to group 3. Group 3, come on up here. Okay, you guys chose B plus 2. And the last group, you got 4 times B. Okay. All right, if you got all of these correct, give me thumbs up. Okay, so you guys did good for the most part. All right, group 2. Which one did you guys get confused on? Oh, you got confused on the third input-output table? Okay. Well, just make sure you guys are being careful. Just, make sure you slow down and you're stopping and thinking about what you're working on here. Now you're going to get to practice this. I'm going to give you guys 20 minutes. I'm going to give you um, a few problems on this work here. During this time, I usually give the kids about, 20, 25 minutes to work on this. I will either assign them either partner work, that they can work with a partner, desktop traveler, scavenger hunt station. So I may just give them problems. But during this time, so that they don't feel so restricted and just feel like what they're doing is so boring, I allow them to just move around the room. They can pick a spot on the floor or just pick a different area where they can sit down and work on these problems together. Like I said, I usually give them about 20, 25 minutes depending on how much time we have left. And then after that, we move to the closing. And for my closing for today, for this activity, I had to take it out the door. And in this one, I was just wanting to see if they know the difference between the multiplicative and additive relationships. And in order to be able to walk out the door, I provided them with a sentence stems because I want them to be able to answer questions in complete sentences. So the sentence stem goes, the difference between multiplicative and additive relationship is that in a multiplicative relationship you blank, and in an additive relationship you blank between x and y. So they're responsible for writing the whole sentence and just filling in the blanks. That way, this is also helping them in getting better in the writing.